Welcome to Diminishes Papers. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what I want out of the Warhammer hobby, and possibly what you want out of the Warhammer hobby too, because we're going to have a little discussion. But before we get on to the main topic, which ties into the news consequently, I really wanted to talk a little bit about my hobby progress. Now, I've been working on a couple of things. First up, some more progress with my Knight Titan, which is right here. It came out really nice. Like, every inch and every panel is going to have, freehand work, and different detail. Like, this is going to be so chock full of detail. It's going to have all this kind of lavished detail within it because I have my idea for the lore behind this for my army, which is going to include a couple of knights, and this being one of them. I think it's coming out really well for the Knight Titan, and again, this is for my painting competition. So there's a hobby progress with that, but that's not all. Next up, I taught a class on how to paint skin tones. I had a lot of fun teaching that class. And these two are works in progress. I don't know if you can see them very well, but I just taught how to do skin tones. And these are works in progress. They're not done just yet. I did finish one of them, which I'm going to show you in just a bit. But I think it was really cool on how the skin tones really turned out. I mean, really lavished a lot of attention on these. And I showed how I did it step by step in a free class at this place called Your Hobby Place. Really, really great place for you to visit if you're there. If you want to come and join the class, join in at the Facebook page, Your Hobby Place, and you can come in and check out a class where I teach for free. Yeah, because I really want to get more people into the hobby and show them that if I can do it, you can do it. Because when I started, and then I just kept on working at it until I was like, got comfortable with it. I think my biggest obstacle was me getting over my own inhibitions and fears. Here, this one is done here. Oh man, it was just such a delight to work on. And these are all Reaper bones. They're not metal or anything like that. Originally, I was painting these guys up to sell them like a speed paint and then just get rid of them on eBay or something like that, or throw them on Facebook. But then I started adding a little bit too much detail. When I say too much detail, I added details to the point that I kind of like it now and I don't want to get rid of him. So pretty cool guy here. Little hand, little dry blood, still coming down there. And you see I'm handling them because they're bones, so it's pretty cool that these paint jobs came out really well. Now, the only thing about Reaper Bones that I'd have to say that I dislike, well, first, bendy swords are a pain. I got a heat gun to remedy that. It's a kind of easy fix, sort of, kind of. But, they're coming out with Reaper, the black bones, which, I'm going to get a set because I already pledged to the Kickstarter, so that's coming in. But one thing I really dislike about the Reaper Bone stuff is that they pre-assemble it for you, and there are pieces in there. And when they pre-assemble it, there are gaps. I mean, really. I have to yank some of these apart in order to, file it out on the inside and put them together so there's no gaps or minimal amount of gaps. And I wish that they would sell it that you could either easily remove them, or there was a way that it'll just fall apart if I put them in a liquid that's, won't hurt anything. Or have them unassembled so I can just glue them together at my own leisure. I mean, that would be cool. So that's the only thing about Reaper Bones that I dislike. But yeah, these guys came out pretty rocking, man. So I really like them. And I fell in love with them, so they're no longer for sale. That's what happens. Now, if I try to speed paint and get things out the door, I can sell them out, raise money for the computer. But if I lavish too much attention, like me, I lavish too much attention on just about everything because I just, when I enjoy painting something, I'll just lavish more attention on it. It's just how I am. All right, well, that's enough for the hobby progress side of things, which is delightful. Now I want to get into the news, which got to tie into the main topic. For the news, the big point of the news is these big community survey. All right, the big community survey that if you take it, and this online right now, you can go and take it yourself. If you, they go to select somebody who's going to win the Sister of Battle, the plastic full army. So they're going to give you a full army if they select you. And I did say earlier that if I were to collect another army, not that I need another army, technically I have 5 Age of Sigmar armies. I think that's about right. 5 Age of Sigmar armies and 3 40k armies. So that's 8 armies. Do I really need 9? Do I really need 9? Right? And I'm only counting the Legions of Nagash, right? The Night Haunt, and I'm counting Flesh Eater Courts because those are 3 armies, right? And then I have Stormcast Eternals, and then I have Magakin of Nurgle. And then for 40k, I have Death Guard, and I have Tau, and I have Space Wolves. So there's 8 armies in total. Do I really need another army? I don't. But if I were to collect another army, it would be the Sisters of Battle right now. So if I win the competition and get the Sisters of Battle, oh boy, I can't wait to put up tutorials for that. That would be awesome. All right. So the big community survey. Let's get to the chase here, so to speak. These are my recommendations for GW. I really hope they're listening to this and they really read the recommendations that I put on the community survey. I did invite them to watch this show, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so here in the big community service. First off, survey. I think White Dwarf. I think that White Dwarf, the way they've gone, the route they've gone, that they included so many rules into it, and they have these like one-off stories. I'm not enjoying it as much as the old White Dwarf, and I used to read the old White Dwarf almost religiously, like every month. I used to buy the new White Dwarf. It was pretty cool. I think that they should include maps. I think that would be cool because, well, it all stems from the Vigilus campaign that I try to take on, the Vigilus campaign in itself. I felt a little excluded by the Vigilus campaign simply because within the Vigilus campaign, if you didn't have the set armies within there and battle with those armies, it wasn't the same as just, taking up any kind of armies and playing them. Like Corbin and I had a game where the Space Wolves were fighting his golden dudes, and and there was like no reason for them to really fight. So the narrative portion of it I felt like it was stolen away. And I would like to be able to create my own campaigns. But if I had like large scale poster size kind of maps, or maybe buy a map pack or include it with the White Dwarf, that would be an incentive for me to get the White Dwarf again, if nothing else. I do like the battle reports that they're putting out. They're a little more competitive, and they explain why they're competitive. I like that feature, but it's just everything else, like meh, meh. So I did advise them to possibly do lore of one thing. So really tell me, like they said, the Ultimate Guide to. I really like that series. But not so much with the Blansitu. I don't know what it is called, but I'm not crazy about that because I don't really see battle reports or anything like that going on with those figures. So I don't know. I get that, his work was, John Blanche's work was definitely influential in all things Warhammer 40k, and his drawings are legendary for AOS and that, but to create models, I don't know, it's just not my thing. I guess they're not really painted to the way I would paint my stuff, so it's just not my style. It's not appealing to me. But yeah, include maps so we can create our own campaigns. That was one of the things for White Dwarf. Now, another thing is, when I started this hobby, I went from scale modeling into this, and scale modelers and railroad modelers, they like modeling. I mean, right? So sometimes they'll wander into our world of wargaming, look at something that they look and sees that it's pretty cool, and they'd want to try to build and paint it, right? But it's usually a one-off, and I think there'd be more incentive for that kind of crowd to collect more. And believe me, with the scale the scale modelers, you should see some of their walls of shame, warehouses of shame. Like, I know this doctor in my local area that has 5,000 model kits unbuilt. That is a wall of shame. And that's the kind of, well, as a business, money that people invest into these models. Who's to say that GW can't take some of that portion by enticing more people? And here's what I think might entice them. When you have your kit, why not include lore that applies to that kit? Like, I just spent hours building this kit, but what is it all about? You know, what is the Wolfen all about? Give me some more background information about the Wolfen and 40K at large that'll draw me into the hobby even more so I can buy yet another kit and find out what that's all about as well. I think that would be a good idea, to include a little bit of lore in each model kit to entice more into the hobby. Also, one thing with the instructions, I just think that the where do you attach the pieces would be, and that goes for the hex rates and stuff like that. It's not really clear on all parts, so possibly have one of those zoom in bubbles, like attach it here and then zoom in over there like a larger figure and show where the pieces attach and how they attach. I think that would help with the construction of the model. But those are the two things that I like really, really done. And now for tournaments and events. I think that narrative events should tie in like skirmish games that lead into the full version of the game. For example, so you play a couple of rounds of Kill Team, all right? And those skirmish games develop into a larger story arc, a larger battle that'll turn into a 40K game. And I think that would be amazing. Start off with that 40K, the Kill Team, and then pull it to like a 500-point list, into a 1,000-point list, into 1,075 to 2,000 point, to whatever you want. I mean, goes up to an Armageddon game if you really want to. And new Armageddon rules are coming in as well, so I think that would tie into that. For Warhammer, start with the Warhammer Underworlds campaign, bring it into an AOS battle again with the point system leading up to a larger thing and a larger event. I think that in and of itself could be like a campaign, setting. Again, include those maps in White Dwarf or sell a map pack. I think that would be helpful. Okay, here's a big thing. And I think this would revolutionize battle tomes and codices. All right, digital battle tomes and codices. Now, normally, sorry, the heat just kicked in. Normally, you would have to buy a codex, and then an FAQ comes out and adds stuff to that codex, and then you have the chapter approved come in and add on to that codex. Same thing with the general handbook with AOS, would add on to FAQ, would add on to that codex and change the point values and stuff like that. Now, you do have apps out there like Battle Scribe that when something like that takes an effect or the points change, that it updates in a Battle Scribe app. I think that if I like the codices, the book format, but what would incentivize me to go over to the route of the digital, if I could buy a codex that actually updated when the FAQs came out and adds the amendments to it, that I can click onto in a link and below, like, boom, there goes. This is like the notes from the author or whatever to clarify any rules. But that would actually evolve with the new rules. Instead of, me walking around printing out the FAQ and having a 3-ring binder with all the FAQ stuff with my codice and my core rulebook and my army that I got to take to the game store and play. I mean, it's just so convoluted at the point where it's difficult to keep track of all this stuff. That and the new rules with the White Dwarf coming out, then you have a whole bunch of White Dwarfs on top of it. You'll be referencing half the game instead of actually playing the game. At least that's what I feel would happen in that scenario. So why not come up with a battle tome or codices that update automatically with FAQs and chapter approved information. Now, and general handbook. Not to say that you cannot produce a chapter approved and a general handbook. You can have the physical copy that also has all those game materials and stuff like that into it. But you have more rooms for conversions and different kind of rules of play and all that other stuff. And, you could put that into the general handbook, or the chapter approved models, instead of having the updated point cost and all that other stuff. Again, could be amend them at the end, but having the codices evolve and battle tomes evolve in the app would incentivize me to actually pick up the app instead of the book. So if you want to go digital route, GW, I'm definitely thinking that you need upgradable battle tomes and codices, and you can sell upgrades to the battle tome and the codices. You can sell them as a digital download upgrade or something like that. And whenever you have a new edition, you'd have to buy another app or another codice or something like that. You could do a digital form. So this way, you can get your revenue as well. And with the digital version of it, you don't have to actually, the print cost is down. The actual production is the man hours in order to create it, but you don't actually have to ship anything or don't have a physical copy of things. I mean, it would save you as a company a ton of money if you would do this, and that would definitely push me into that direction. I mean, what do you think about that? Okay, so balanced play. Let me tell you a little bit about balanced play. I think this feature will really revolutionize GW if they take the advice. Okay, they may or may not. It's something I call balanced play, in which consists of pre-generated lists on two armies or regular factions, or fights with pre-generated lists for Tau and Space Wolves or whoever it is that would make things easier. If you take this list and they give you the list, right, and you take this list for these guys, it would be balanced. And what would come down to is A, where you place your models, B, those dice rolls, which can be tricky, but you're guaranteed a close game unless the dice really hate you that day. Then it has nothing to do with the armies, it really just has to do with the dice rolls. And with a dice game, sometimes that's going to happen. But to actually have a balanced play game, pre-generated balanced play game, and you could include battle plans with that, so it's guaranteed you will eliminate all the cheesiness, and then people who just want to play this really close, exciting game could choose those armies, those units that are in those pre-generated lists and those pre-generated areas of battle. And you can even sell it as you could do it as a box set if you really wanted to. But you could have battle plans for 500-point lists, or create the list with that. Again, you tell us which armies will work to fight against each other and be an even match, for 500 points, for 1,000 points, for 2,000 points. And they're easy to follow and ready to play right out of the box. I think it's ideal for people getting into the hobby, so this way when you first get into the hobby, you don't wind up with, this guy in Jerko mode. I just made that up. Jerko mode. And just clears you off the table. You know what? You shouldn't even bother playing this game anymore because you suck and you got to get better. Get good, kid. Get good. Right? No. That's a bad connotation for the hobby. So having a balanced place from the beginning, and you're introducing somebody, and the armies are going to be completely fair, no cheese involved, and you follow the format, I think that it would make the game more enjoyable for people who are still learning the rules, right? And just kind of want to have a good time without worrying about the cheese, without worrying about all that stuff. And I think that would revolutionize the game as the ramp up to getting into the full version and tournaments and all that. Because when you've been there, done that, and bought the t-shirt, then you can get into tournaments because you know all the rules and all the codices for all the other things, and you really get into it. Then you could start thinking about tournaments. But, for me, I would love a balanced list, and have an opposing balanced list and play it out, so this way it could be a close battle, and it all has to do with my decision in generalship and not because somebody decided to go overkill on their choice units. I think that would definitely be amazing, and I'll call this balanced play. All right, and at least that's my idea. And if they take any of these ideas, you heard it here first. Yeah. And GW, hopefully you're listening to this as well as reading my submission to all that loveliness that is the big community survey. I want to thank GW for actually having that survey, giving an opportunity for us folk to be able to win another army. Adeptus Sororitas. I would love that. I'd lose my stuff. And hopefully, if you see any of these elements come on, I would have been happy to help GW and the community at large to really enjoy this hobby. And for those people who have not started this hobby, to possibly get into the hobby as a result of these little changes. Okay. I want to hear your feedback. Did you take the big community survey? What kind of changes do you want to see? What do you think would be better for the hobby as a whole? I want to hear comments. I love the discussions that we have down there in the comments. So please bring in all the information. If you're salty about something, what do you think might be the solution to resolving that? All right, well, if you like this video, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Wait, t-shirts? They didn't tell me anything just yet, but they're in the process of making it. Just have to say that. All right, I'm going to ship them out to you as soon as I possibly can. And I'll catch you next time on the miniatures paintbrush.